Lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
For some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Los Reyes Mexican Grill here, Wesley at Nicholson. Welcome to the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Max Gotro. Jimmy Ott remains on vacation. Did you get the pictures this morning, Max?
I missed it today.
Oh yeah, him and Nigel are enjoying the
enjoying
the weather.
Yeah, I talked to Nigel yesterday. He was excited to get to him. I guess they had already exchanged a few picks. Mostly, I think Nigel's sending some his way. Nigel Steele, if you don't already catch him on the Bet Rivers Network, Betting Weekly on YouTube. It's good shows. They give you a lot of winners, soccer, tennis, all that.
He's unbelievably well respected over there, where the everywhere, but especially over there when it comes to tennis and soccer.
He travels a lot, so like a couple weeks ago they had a tournament in Miami, so he was watching, which that helps. You know, no doubt. You go to all these matches, maybe you don't really watch them on TV, you maybe miss some things. So the fact that he goes to a lot of these, I'm sure makes a big difference for him.
So today is a lot of Masters stuff. Scott Rabley in the second hour is at the Masters. Wes Reynolds is with us, who is, if you follow us, we do golf picks on Wednesdays. But if you how can we do Super Bowl props, people that only bet on one game a year, we try to give them Super Bowl props, got them along in Super Bowl week, or maybe you just bet basketball during the NCAA tournament. Well, if you just bet golf during the Masters, this is your day. We're going to give you some strong recommendations. I know,
like
you've
Christmas
been grinding
Eve.
On this a while.
It's like Christmas Eve. I got to be honest. I still haven't finalized my outright card, which we'll give out.
The
later.
Tournament starts tomorrow, right?
I know. There's a whole lot of guys. I'm not sure if they can win. I just have too many question marks with a lot of the top of the leaderboard. And Rory, honestly, he's playing best on paper of anybody. I just don't trust him in majors. I've committed myself. I've never bet on him in a major in my life, and I'm going to keep it that way because I just don't trust him. It's been 11 years since he won. It's 2014, last time he won a major. But it's tempting for some people, I understand, because on paper he's playing better than anybody in the field.
I have never bet on Rory in a major either. I am not going to keep it that way. I got to have something on him. I'm not telling you he's my main pick or, I'm going to shove a pile of cash onto it, but I'm going to have something on him because there's a little something to the mojo with the way he's playing, and he's too good not to be in contention in a lot of these things. And, man, he's got as good a chance to win it as anybody. And whether it's Rory, I love this tournament. I love it every year, no matter what is going on. But this year, you've got Rory going for the Grand Slam, which he's done this is 11 times, I believe, that the 11th time or the 12th time that he'll be going for the Grand Slam. So it's not like it's a new story.
Probably 11th, yeah.
But it's still a compelling story. It was a compelling story every time Mickelson tried to win at the U.S. Open. I still think it's a compelling story where Jordan Spieth is trying to win at the PGA. I mean, there's a reason that only 5 guys have ever done this. It's really an lifetime accomplishment, and it's reserved for guys like Tiger and Jack and Gary Player and Ben Hogan, Gene Sarazen. Those guys are the ultimate legends in the sport. Is Rory that good? Well, he's really good, and he can win. So I'm going to have something on him, but he's not the only one. So we've got Wes will be with us, Scott will be with us from Augusta's. I love baseball, Max, as you know. One of the things I love most about the sport is the unpredictability of it. I don't necessarily subscribe into that. Oh, you go to the ballpark and every day you'll see something you've never seen before. That's not true. Okay, I've seen plenty of 4-2 baseball games, 3-2 baseball games that look very, very similar, okay? But there are some days that you see things, it's like, oh, didn't expect that. So yesterday when we concluded the show, if I'd have said, okay, here's my picks for tonight. LSU's going to go down to Nichols. They're only going to score in one inning. They're not going to have an extra base hit, but they're still going to win. And Paul Skeens is going to give up 5 runs. Well, I wouldn't have expected it. Neither one of those was anywhere close to a I wouldn't even say a chalk. Those were both long shots that LSU would go down to Nichols, not get an extra base hit, not score in more than one inning, and still win. Because sometimes you throw in a midweek clunker. They haven't this year, but it's common. Every team, it seems like, you throw in one night where, in the middle of the week you just don't have it. And Skeens, this is the roughest outing in 26 starts in his career. Look, even Roger Clemens gets shook up sometimes. So everybody can get hit. But the game down in Thibodaux last night, this was a rescheduled game from earlier in the season where you had the frigid conditions down in Thibodaux, and LSU was behind in this game going into the seventh inning. But they managed to put together a rally, a bases-loaded hit from Milam that opened the scoring. Another big hit from Chris Stanfield, who continues to swing a hot bat. He drove in a couple with the bases loaded, and LSU got 5 runs in the inning, and that was enough. I think the story of the game was William Schmidt, who finished with 4 perfect innings, did not give up a base runner. Gave up 2 base runners, did not give up a hit, and struck out 8. Connor Ware started the game. He went 3 innings. He was pretty solid, I thought. Jaden Newt got a little bit careless, I thought, on a couple of pitches and gave up 2 runs. But this was a game that, this is not crucial. If LSU had lost the game, it would not have been any big deal. But what I think we were looking for coming out of a weekend where they only used 5 pitchers is how was Jay Johnson going to chop up this game pitching-wise? We're getting close to that time. Skip always said, tax time, okay? Got to pay your taxes next week, Max. When you get to tax time, you want to know who the guys are that you can count on. So you know who the top 5 are. You know who your 3 starters are. You know who your top 2 relievers are. If the game's on the line, coming out of the bullpen, you know who's going to be there. Who's the next guy, and who's the guy after that? And we may not know for sure when we go into May. I've cited a number of examples where guys were not necessarily rolling in the parts of April where you'd like them to be, but got it together in May. Thatcher Hurd is a great example from just 2 years ago, was still struggling in April, but got it together in May and June. In 2017, Zach Hess had some rough outings, including one at Tulane, but when they got to the postseason, he was terrific. Maybe the most famous example of all, you go back to Trey Hodges in 2000, who was really struggling into the beginning parts of May because he was coming back off of an injury. When they got to Omaha, nobody could touch him. So who's going to be that guy for LSU this year? Is there going to be a guy? There's not one every year, I think you got a little bit of an idea last night of the biggest candidates to do that. Where, who, they talked about his big fall, got off to a little bit of a slow start, but there's been some good outings there. Newt, who is now 2 years post Tommy John, and sometimes it takes that second year to you really feel like yourself again. And then William Schmidt, who we know turned down an outlandish amount of money to come to LSU, has first-round potential. But it's been a little bit of an up-and-down go for him so far as a freshman. And, again, that's not all that uncommon for freshmen. I thought when they went down, they were going to go down to Nichols at the beginning of the season. I actually thought Schmidt might start that game. It was early in the season. I thought, hey, this is a good spot to get him in. Would have been his first road game. You go down to Nichols. You get a little bit of pressure of your first road start. But, again, if you lose the game, it's not the end of the world. It's a learning experience. Well, it ends up coming up 2 months after that. But he was really, really good last night. And we know the talent is there. So I thought those were the biggest stories out of the game last night. Another suicide squeeze. You see that? Missed on another one. This is, by my count, this is 7 squeeze plays in the last 5 weeks. I think they're 4-3 on executing these things if we're counting the missed sign in the game this past weekend. So this is the most squeeze plays I've ever seen LSU do in a baseball season, and we're just in April. Johnson knows that they can't just depend on the long ball This is not a team that is going to set home run records. They got to be able to score other ways, and this is one of the things that he's doing. They're running a whole lot more. So LSU gets the win last night down in Thibodaux. Skeens' outing was a lot more surprising, just because we've never seen him do this. It was a terrific pitching matchup between him and Sonny Gray. We remember Sonny Gray from his time at Vanderbilt. Well, this was a terrific matchup. The Cardinals are in a rebuilding mode. This is not a good team, but for whatever reason, they've got Skeens' number. He's now 0-3 against him in his young career. But he cruised through the first 2 innings. I mean, he 6 up, 6 down, and it looked like another typical Skeens. Yeah, it looked like another typical Skeens outing. And then things kind of unraveled on him. I don't think that this is a big deal at all. I think that this is the game to me. Nobody beats the game every time. That's when the Dodgers opened up 8-0. It's like, man, they're going to win more games than anybody. They may win more games than any team in Major League history, but they're not going to win them all. And even the best, the game itself is undefeated. Okay, Skeens is great. He had a little bit of an off night, and the Pirates lost that one 5-3. And Skeens gave up 5 earned runs for the first time in his career, struck out 7 and only walked 1. We're here at Los Reyes. We're less than a month away from Cinco de Mayo. Going to be a big celebration here at Los Reyes. Try the new gyro tacos or the Mexican pizza. Mexican pizza is one of my favorite things to order here because it's kind of like a double-decker pizza. It's really the flaky crust. It's really, really good. Happy hour from 2:30 until 6:30. Number of different margaritas that you can get during the happy hour. Draft beer on special. House wines for $5 during the happy hour here. They've done a terrific job with the remodel here at Los Reyes. We really enjoy our time here, and we can watch a little bit of the par 3. Is this afternoon?
Yeah.
1 o'clock. They're going to give us TV coverage.
They started at
1 o'clock, right?
I think it's 2 or 3.
I thought it was 1.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. I thought it was 1 o'clock. But anyway, watch a little bit of the par 3. It's kind of a fun event to watch because the players, a lot of them bring their families out there. The pressure of winning the thing is not there. In fact, we still got that thing. Nobody that's ever won the par 3 has won the tournament, right? That streak still holding. Pretty sure. I think so.
No one. It's debutant has won one time. Fuzzy Seller.
Fuzzy's no. I mean, they won the par 3 and won the tournament.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
Fuzzy,
win it today.
Fuzzy Zeller won it.
You do take home a nice little crystal bowl, but you don't win the Masters.
I wish I could remember who said it. There was a guy that was. They were asking about the par 3, and he says, "Look, I'm going to tell you this. If I come to the last hole and I'm leading this thing, I'm aiming for the water. I'm going to put it in the water on purpose, such as the par 3." But
ESPN at 1 o'clock. Yeah,
1 o'clock.
Right.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
They're improving.
Yes. Expanded coverage of something everybody wants to watch. The Masters starts tomorrow, but the par 3 is this afternoon. Live at Los Reyes. Live at lunch. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all your real estate closings. 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get every time you call 296-0060. Ashley Bonham Donald, Mariana Broussard Haynes, Adrian Reese-Galata, Michael Platt, and Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses you but you. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome back here at Los Reyes. Today's show also brought to you by Coastal Capital Advisors, your full-service financial partners. When it comes to retirement, there's no two situations alike. Let Coastal Capital Advisors work with you as well as your business partners, your legal team, your tax professionals to make sure that all your retirement goals are met. Doesn't matter what portion of your life you're in, what age you are, what your income level is. They'll work a plan that'll be a lifetime plan for you. And when there is some volatility in the market, that's a nice word, I guess, to use, they will be able to talk with you. I had a conversation with Phil earlier this week to kind of get you up to date and kind of ease your fears about making sure that your plan is still in place. Give them a call 337-981-1376 or online at coastalcapitaladv.com. Advisory services provided by New Age Advisors LLC, member FINRA SIPC. This is I want to do some NFL draft stuff today, and one of the stories that has been kind of making the rounds and getting people's opinions on is Shedeur Sanders and the possibility that he would go to the New Orleans Saints. Max, his number to go to the Saints right now is he's the favorite. He's plus 220 to go to New Orleans. The next two teams are the Giants, who have the third pick, and Pittsburgh. So you've got a wide range of opinions on him as to where he's going to go. The Giants pick number 3, and then the Saints don't pick until 9, and Pittsburgh is down at 21. You're a big fan of Shedeur going if he lasts going to the Saints. Why?
To a point. I want to be clear. This is still a weaker draft class for quarterbacks. Where would he fit in last year's class? A strong one where you had Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. Obviously, I would have him below him. I would have him below. Who else?
Would he have gone behind? He would have gone behind Michael Penix, in my opinion.
I think so.
He would have gone behind J.J. McCarthy. I think
so.
Although
I would
that's
put
closer
him here. This is where I would put him because I was lower on Bo Nix than everyone else. So
I
would
definitely
put him
go behind Drake
fifth.
May. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would, or I guess that makes him 6th. So yeah, I would put him somewhere in that 4th to 5th range of last year's class. But I'm not sold on Cam Ward exactly, even though I love his story. 0-star, going up to Incarnate Word. He was great there. He went to Wazoo. I love his story. I have some questions about his game. And this is a weaker class. But I think with what you have, I like Shedeur's game. He is not the most athletic guy. He takes too many sacks, holds the ball a little bit too much, but I think a lot of that was a product of his offense. A lot of it was a product of his offensive line. He was pressured 230 some odd times.
40% of his dropbacks, which is
insane,
significantly above the national average. But his average time to pressure, I thought this was an interesting number, 3.14 seconds, which was also above the average. If 3.14 seconds is not great pressure in the NFL. You got to be able to get rid of it before that. So that when we talk about pressure, yeah, it was above the national average, but you got to be able to get rid of the ball in a reasonable amount of time, and 3.14 seconds is a reasonable amount of time for a competent NFL quarterback.
When I watched his offense, remember they switched offensive coordinators this past year. A lot of later developing plays, so that's a part of my theory here is that there was not a whole lot of quick outs, so that's part of the reason. He's not getting it out quickly. I think in the NFL they're going to have teams that do that more. Now, some people pointed out it is Colorado Showcase, Pro Day, whatever you want to call it, that he pats the ball a little bit. Now, a lot of great quarterbacks pat the ball just to stay in rhythm. Tom Brady patted the ball, but that's something that you got to it can't slow your timing, right? That processing.
You can pat it, but you better get it out in 3 seconds.
Right.
So.
Again, Tom Brady did it, but he did it quickly, or he didn't do it when he was given those quick outs. So that's something he'll have to resolve. But ultimately, to me, he's accurate enough. His arm strength is good, not great, but his ability to read a play as it happens, I think is next level. I think it's the best in this class in terms of processing, and ultimately in the right offense, in an offense that suits a more pro style pocket passer who can move a little bit if needed. Offense, I think he can be a really good starter in the NFL.
So I thought a lot of the things that you're thinking, and then they did a deeper dive on him today, and some of the numbers were alarming to me because Sanders is not probably who I would take if I were the Saints. I would probably go for a defensive lineman or even an offensive lineman. I think they need some help up front. But I don't hate the pick. It's not like I'm going to throw a temper tantrum if they take him. I think he's got a lot of upside. I think he can be a very good quarterback. I don't know for sure that he is, but I think he can be, and I think it would inject some very much needed life into the franchise. We talked about that earlier this week. So I was with you on the accuracy, And this deeper dive put some question marks up that these numbers were a little bit surprising to me. One of the big knocks on Bo Nix last year was what? That a lot of his passes were behind the line of scrimmage. 34% of Sanders' pass attempts were behind the line of scrimmage. That number was surprising to me. I didn't realize it was quite that high.
Higher than I would have thought.
Another 35% of his passes were to what they deem wide open receivers with at least 5 yards of separation. Now, when I think of it, and his 8.1% sack ratio, that's high. That's really high. So when I think of a guy that holds the ball for a long time, scrambles around, buys himself enough time, then hits wide open receivers, there's one name that comes to mind, and it's a scary name if you're going to take Shedeur Sanders, and that name's Johnny Manziel. Manziel did a lot of that stuff at Texas A&M. He would scramble, he would buy himself some time, he would hold the ball, and then he would loft it up there, and Evans would go make this unbelievable catch, and everybody's like, hey, Johnny Football. And if you listen to some of the scouts, and Merrill Hodge was right on this thing. He was like, that's a wonderful college play. He can't do that in the NFL. And there's some of these plays that Shedeur makes that you go, wow, great play. Look how much time he bought himself. Then threw the ball, all the way across the field, and he scored a touchdown. You can't do that in the NFL. I'm not saying that it's a deal breaker. I'm just saying that some of the highlight film stuff is not stuff that he's going to be able to do in the NFL. And I thought about Johnny Manziel when I thought about that.
You think he throws as much off schedule as Manziel did? Because Manziel,
not nearly as much.
Everything he did was creating,
not nearly as much,
and it was just kind of mayhem. Really, like there's control in what I see in Shedeur Sanders' game. A lot of it, like I said, is deep developing routes, and some guys do get open, but he can create. He's elusive. He's not great. He's not super athletic. And he can run okay. He's not elite there. And I admit his accuracy could be improved. I just think his processing is far and above. It's not even close. So you can't even compare what he was able to do to Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel, so much of it was havoc, just creating out of nothing.
Improv.
And, improv, and that does not work. I agree with Mayor Hodge. That does not work at the next level.
So that was the comparison to Manziel on
Unless
the field.
you're Mahomes, I guess.
Right. Well, Mahomes isn't human. Where the comparison to Manziel breaks down is off the field. Manziel didn't put any time into his game once he got into the NFL. That's by his own admission. I don't suspect that you're going to have that problem with Shedeur Sanders, who off the field, there's no issues.
He's the son of a great football player.
Yeah.
That's not a surprise. And a coach.
Right. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot of publicity. Deion attracts a crowd, and they put a lot of light on a program that was basically an afterthought. But none of it was in a bad way. I didn't. Shedeur Sanders grew up with a lot of eyes on him, a lot of money. Okay, he didn't have to put the time in to become a great football player, and he did. And that goes a long way with me because I think that it would have been there were some easy routes for him to take. Okay, so the off the field stuff breaks down when you get to that. I'm also coming around on the idea. One of the things that worried me about him early was the Deion factor. Was Deion going to want to? I don't want to say necessarily control, but run his mouth a whole lot that the noise wouldn't help him, okay? Was he going to be a LeVar Ball? Deion's been pretty quiet during the draft process. He said a few things, but he hasn't been over the top. And I think that once Shedeur is drafted by whoever he's drafted by, maybe I'm crazy, but I think Deion is going to shut up. I really do. I think he's going to let him be his own man. I think he's going to let him, have his own career. A lot of this, the contract that Deion signed, 2 weeks ago, gives you an indication that he's not looking for a pro job. Would have scared the hell out of me if Deion said, yes, draft my son and I'll come coach your team. That would have made me a little uneasy. Not because I don't know that Deion Sanders could coach in the NFL, but just because that's a little bit too cozy for me. But Deion's been pretty quiet during the draft process. Even when they were talking about Shedeur going to Cleveland, he said a few things, but he hasn't been over the top. I'm starting to come around that Deion's going to be fine.
I agree. I think
could be wrong.
The extension helps, and LeVar Ball eventually got humbled, right?
And
Lonzo Ball became a pro.
His kids told him, Dad,
but
you got to go.
I
Zion
think he
Williamson did
also
the same thing.
went too far.
Yeah.
Right?
LeVar Ball is over the top as
Correct.
it gets. Even Deion wasn't as boisterous as he was.
I also think part of this was they got humbled a little bit. I think they didn't perceive his draft stock well. He slipped for a reason. I think part of that, it seems like he's falling. How many guys really fall, or is it just you have a greater assessment of the evaluations that the whole NFL has of him? Were Cleveland going to take him number 2, and now they've looked at him a little harder, and now they don't want to? I'm not really sure that was
For all
ever
we
the
know,
case.
that was their evaluation all along.
Correct. That's what I sort of think. So when we think about guys falling, it's just more information comes to light about where the league sees him. And I think Shedeur, in a lot of ways, is in a little bit of a bubble because ESPN NFL Network, who cover this and are going to cover Shedeur Sanders more than anybody. He is the face of this draft, regardless of Cam Ward being number 1. Clear cut, he's going to the Titans. We know that. But Shedeur Sanders,
really?
Oh yeah, it's done.
Okay.
They've locked up shop. They're not taking calls. Tennessee is taking him number 1.
No, I know that part. But the part about Shedeur being the face of this draft. Really?
I think if you're just a normal NFL fan, you're tuning in to see. You're going to want to see where Shedeur Sanders goes. I think he is the face of this draft, and I don't think the NFL Network and ESPN, when they were covering this, really wanted to be saying early on, "Hey, look, he might be falling," until it was very obvious. You don't want to get caught because you want access. You want access to Deion during this whole draft. I think that's a big part of this draft will be coverage of him. And so now I think they've gotten enough feedback to where you saw initially early on Deion was a little bit more vocal and saying we're going to pick the right place and all these things. And you don't hear as much. He's going to be fine. I like all these guys. He went through all the teams. He went through the Saints being one of them. We love any of the landing spots that has been mentioned. We love those spots for him. So I think he got humbled a little bit, and that's part of why you're seeing a bit of a withdrawing nature of Deion Sanders, but hopefully that's a sign of a longer stretch of things to come for his future.
I agree with you that Cam Ward is going to be the number 1 pick, and I agree with you that I don't think he's necessarily the face of this draft because he's the lock to go number 1. It's kind of a boring story almost. The last 2 weeks before the draft, we know what's going to happen there. But I don't think it's Shedeur that's the face of the draft. I think it's Travis Hunter.
Okay.
Because I think that there's a lot of uncertainty where, first of all, where Travis Hunter is going to go. And then I think there's also a lot of uncertainty about how Travis Hunter is going to be used by whatever team that takes him. I think there's a lot more room for difference of opinion on Travis Hunter just because he is unique. He's one of one. And amazingly, he's not going with the first pick in the draft. I like Cam Ward. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he'll be a fine pro. If I had the number 1 pick in this draft, I'd take Travis Hunter. 10 times out of 10, doesn't matter what franchise I am, doesn't matter. Now, if there was a guy, if Andrew Luck was in this draft or Joe Burrow was in this draft or even Trevor Lawrence, I know it's been rocky, that absolute no doubt first round pick, number 1 quarterback, Cam Newton, okay? Then no. But Cam Ward is not a can't miss. Travis Hunter to me is a can't miss. Whatever side you put him on, he's a can't miss.
Yeah, and the team that probably is going to end up taking him is going to likely put him at receiver if it's the Browns who end up taking him. They see him as a wide receiver first, and he's going to play some cornerback, I'm sure, for them too. I personally would have Abdul Carter number 1 on my draft board, and then Travis Hunter right there at number 2. But they're the most surefire
I got him flipped,
ones.
but yeah, I mean,
they are right there. So yeah, I could see the case where Hunter's the face of this draft. It might depend what position he plays. Honestly, if he's a receiver, that helps him probably, and he'll probably make more money there too. So that might help him as well. But I will say right now, it's looking like I hate to say this early on, but I think I have a pretty good idea what the top 4 is going to be in this draft, and maybe even the top 5. The 5th, I could see Jacksonville maybe throwing in a surprise, but
I'll let you do that when we come back.
Yeah.
Get your top 5. We'll see if we agree because I got a pretty good idea what I think is going to happen as well. 2 weeks out from the NFL draft. Happy hour from 2:30 to 6:30 here. Come by and see us at Los Reyes Mexican Grill, Wesley at Nicholson. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends over at Tex Morris, Edward Jones Investments. Tex over on Jefferson, across from Town Center. I've had investments with Tex for many, many years, and more than pleased with the return on investments. The great thing about Tex is he stays on top of things, constantly tweaking things as things happen in our economy. Looking to save or get a plan for retirement. Looking to get a plan to send your kid to college. How about a plan for both? Text Morris at Edward Jones, 928-8659, 928-8659.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. New Handycast up on LSU baseball. Myself, former Tiger pitcher Doug Thompson, former Tiger coach Dan Canterbury on the podcast. You get that on YouTube at the Handycast right now. Before we get to your top five, Jalen Milroe got an invitation to the draft. You had a stat about guys that they invited last year. Jalen Milroe is not in very many mock first rounds, but everybody that went to the draft last year got drafted in the first round.
Yeah, they invited, I believe, 13 prospects last year, and one thing they've certainly done, especially since Will Levis, they don't want these Aaron Rodgers moments. Even the NFL, I guess, has some heart.
I was going to say Malik
this.
Willis because he was invited to the draft. He didn't go to the third round.
And they show him a lot, and it's not always the best of looks.
Brady Quinn, I remember
Quinn,
as much as anybody.
Another guy who, by the way, a little bit bigger upper body, biceps sort of stuff, and had problems translating to the next level. But you look at last time around, there were some guys who got invited. Terriana Arnold went 24th. We thought he was going to go first round. Darius Robinson, an edge guy, very sort of second round grade by a lot of people going into that class, went 27th. In the class. Brian Thomas Jr., who was considered a fringe first, second round pick, got invited to the draft. He was drafted 23rd. So there is almost like what we hear about these the committee, the draft committee that gives out grades to players when they enter their name in and they get a first, second, or go back to school grade. There's a similar sort of committee, I believe, that's sort of in charge of deciding, if they want a player to be invited to the draft. And so the idea that Jalen Milroe is invited to the draft, it's not official, but that's been reported, is very intriguing, which makes you think that there may be somebody out there who's telling you they would either draft him in the first round or trade up potentially in the first round to get him.
I would be really excited about taking Jalen Milroe if he would agree to do a multi-role deal. To me, there's some Taysom Hill there. They're not built exactly the same, but he started as a receiver, so he can catch the football. He's got good wheels. He's got power. I think it's not an exact comparison, and he can throw the ball enough to where you can put some gadgets in there. I just don't know that he's accurate enough to be a full-time NFL quarterback, and he is been pretty adamant that he is not interested in a slash type role. So you kind of lose me there. But if he was willing to do all those things, because I think there's a lot of versatility there. I think there's a creative offensive coordinator could have a lot of fun with Jalen Milroe. You give him to Sean Payton, and there's some stuff that he could do with him. He'd be a really, really valuable guy. But as a full-time quarterback, I just like Taysom Hill, I never thought of Taysom Hill as a full-time quarterback. I never thought that the accuracy was there, the ability to put the ball in the tight windows. I feel the same way about Milroe. So anyway, it looks like he's going to the draft. All right, top five. We know you got at number one. Who you got at number two?
I think it's going to be Hunter. I've thought this for about a week, and now the odds reflect it. DraftKings putting him at minus 300 to go number two. The Browns see him as a wide receiver first, but at this point, the Browns are typically very coy. They like to be a little mischievous when it comes to their information at times.
You do a lot of shows. You produce a lot of shows for Bet Rivers out of Cleveland.
Out of Cleveland. So I have a pretty good idea of what their organization thinks. And I would be worried if this was like a smokescreen. However, what is the reason for a smokescreen at this point? We know that Tennessee is going to take Cam Ward, so why do they need to protect what this pick is going to be? Maybe it is a smokescreen, but I just don't see a need for that. So I feel a little bit more comfortable that it's Hunter. And they've got Myles Garrett signed long term, so it makes sense that they would maybe choose a Hunter rather than Abdul Carter.
I would take Hunter. I understand the temptation to take Carter there and put him on the other side of Garrett and just create a nightmare for opposing offensive lines. But, no, I would go Hunter there too. All right, number 3.
Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter, you get one of the best 2 players in this class. I don't think the Giants and Daboll, despite the fact, they brought in Russell Wilson, maybe a Shedeur Sanders would extend. It would give you a little more job security. Like, hey, look, this guy, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll, look, this guy's coming down the pipes. But Shedeur Sanders doesn't really fit in a Daboll offense anyway. He's always worked with more physical, big arm quarterbacks. You think of Josh Allen. You think of, the guy who's been there, Daniel Jones, forever. But I think they're going to go with a safe pick here and Abdul Carter.
I do too, because they signed Russell Wilson, and Daboll is trying to save his job. This is exactly why you don't have lame duck coaches, guys that are trying to save their job, because they do things with short-term thinking. Now, let me say that I think Abdul Carter is the best player on the board at that point, and I would take him too. But the reason that they're taking him is that they need to win now. And you bring Russell Wilson in on a 1-year deal. You sign Jameis Winston in case something happens to them because you don't want to fight a rookie quarterback. Well, a rookie quarterback might be the thing what the franchise needs long term. And I'm not saying that that's the case here, but I don't want somebody making decisions just for the short term benefit. And I think that's what's happening here. But I do also think that they're getting it right with Abdul Carter. Patriots at 4.
If it gets to this point, I think they're going to go offensive lineman. You got Mike Vrabel. He wants to punch you in the mouth. He wants to run the ball a lot. And here's the good news for Will Campbell is, I'm of the belief he's not the best tackle in this class. He's not the best offensive lineman, personally. I hope he is, but I would feel more comfortable
with
Mimbu
better?
Armand Mimbu from Missouri.
You like him better?
Yeah, I personally do, and Kelvin Banks is going to have a pretty good career in the NFL, in my opinion. However, the big difference here is Mimbu is pretty much all his life, it might be exclusively his life, played at right tackle. And the Patriots are pretty comfortable at right tackle. They really need a left tackle, and you're going to make more money at left tackle anyway. So I think the Patriots have a need at left tackle. They have a desire to bolster their offensive line. So I think Will Campbell's in a really good position. He's currently minus 110. I would actually take that. I think it's more likely than not that Will Campbell will be drafted number 4 to the Patriots.
I think it's going to be an offensive lineman also. I think it's probably a coin flip right now who they're going to take. I would take Campbell. The arm length does not bother me at all. I watched the guy play for 3 years. And I think Mimbu's going to be a really good player for a long time. This is a little bit of hometown bias. I'll be honest with you. I've watched Campbell for 3 years, and I think he's a terrific player.
Really good.
And that's who I would take. 5.
This is the little bit more of a wild card. We see Mason Graham minus 140, so that's who I'd roll with. I think Jacksonville, it makes a lot of sense. There's been a lot of connections there. In terms of mock drafts, pretty much exclusively have Mason Graham going 5th to the Jaguars. I think there could be a wild card here. They could go with Jalen Walker, who's personally he's my top pick to go number 9 if the Saints could get him.
Georgia.
I don't think he's going to last that long, but yeah, he's an edge guy. He's a little bit undersized. Some comparisons to Hassan Reddick in his game, but just a really, really good player, smart, always around the ball. So I love Jalen Walker, and maybe you could see Jacksonville go there. Maybe they could try to just make sure they know their assessment on Trevor Lawrence. I mean, is Trevor Lawrence a little bit on the hot seat coming into this year? I don't think he'll get benched during this season.
No,
but
not with that contract.
You've got to figure out, are you going to be an offensive team around Trevor Lawrence long term?
He's another full season of bad.
I think
from being
so.
On the hot seat.
But maybe you want to bolster the offensive line. Maybe you take who's left out of Campbell and Mimbu, but I think it's going to be Mason Graham out of Michigan here.
I do too. So we agree on 4 out of the 5. I think that in my head right now, the Saints are down to the 3 most likely players that they will take. Okay, and I think right now, this is just me. Okay, 2 weeks out, reserve the right to change my mind. If you ask me right now, gun in my head, who are the Saints going to take? I would say they're going to take Will Johnson because there's a glaring need at corner. He fits there. I think he's going to get to him at 9, and I think that is the most likely pick. I'm not saying that's who I would pick, and I think that'd be a good pick. I think he's a good player. The injury time concerns me a little bit, but he's right up their alley. He's a 6'2" cornerback. I mean, if you look at him real hard, you can see some Marshawn Lattimore there. Who they've drafted. They're drafted in 2017. The second most likely player that they would take is Tyler Warren out of Penn State. He's a unique player. He could have a Brock Bowers type impact on them. This is a little bit of a Kellen Moore special here because I think he could do some creative things with him. I think he's the second most likely player that they will take. And then the third guy that I would say is most likely to go there would be Mike Green out of Marshall. The edge pass rusher right now, and I agree with you. I think Jalen Walker will be off the board. I think he's the next best pass rusher. It would scare the hell out of me, but they have been known to take guys from smaller schools before. Green's a good player. They certainly need pass rushing help. Those are the three most likely guys, in my opinion, to come off the board for New Orleans at 9.
We've seen Will Johnson get mocked very much.
By the way, I would love Mason Graham is my dream choice. I don't think there's any way he gets to 9. That's who I would want the most, and I don't think he's going to get there.
I don't think so as well. I pretty much ruled him out. Jalen Walker would be my number one guy. Shedeur would be number 2. I know that's completely contradictory to what most people believe. You take your quarterback if you really like him, but I think Jalen Walker is great, and you can maybe get a quarterback like a Will Howard later on. I'm not a big fan of Will Howard, but I understand you have a need there. So, I'm not as high on him as everyone else is, but he's going to be a good corner, I think, in the league, and you have a need there. Pretty much everywhere they would fill, I'd be happy with. I actually disagree with you on Tyler Warren. I think he's going to be a really good tight end. They have plenty of tight ends, and what's interesting is you've heard that this offense, they want to run 11 personnel. They want to run one tight end, and they've got plenty of tight ends on this roster already. They've decided to re-sign and extend Juwan Johnson. Now, maybe they're not that great. Maybe they're not that happy with him. But bringing in Tyler Warren, that's just the one position right now that you're kind of happy with where you are.
The Juwan Johnson signing was ridiculously overpriced. You have a very average tight end there, and you paid him top dollar. I was not a fan. I like the player, but I thought the price was way too high. We're brought to you in part by the Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. You're getting your property in shape here in spring. Well, we've got some help for you. At the website right now, doitbest.com/Thibodeau Store. Pressure washers on special right now. Outdoor Expressions patio furniture on special right now. All of your garden equipment, your easy seeders, your garden tools, your hoses, your wheelbarrows, your wagons, all of those available right now on the website. Potting and topsoils, spreaders and seeders, grass and weed control, all of them available at doitbest.com/Thibodeau Store. A lot of these items available for delivery, as well as occasion cooking specialty cookware shipped right to your door. So shop now. doitbest.com/Thibodeau Store, and in person, 900 St. Patrick Highway in Thibodeau. Live at Los Reyes, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
United Community Bank, the local way to bank big with locations from Baton Rouge to Golden Meadow. We've been serving the people of Southern Louisiana for over 50 years, including their newest branch at Burbank and Bluebonnet. Our great team at United Community Bank, Heath Meir, Nicole Glover, Prentice Wilkes, Hunter Creed, David Campbell, and David Henry. You know, running a business can be difficult enough without the right relationship with your bank. With United Community Bank's local business bankers, you're not just a number, you're a partner. United Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
First team All-American J.T. Toppin from Texas Tech says he's going back to school. 18 points and 9 rebounds a game last season. Possibility he could be the National Player of the Year in the preseason next year. Was a first-team All-American, but was looked at as a late one or an early two. So he's headed back to school. We're going to Augusta next here at Los Reyes Mexican Grill, 104.5.
Enjoying the finer things in life is his forte. Let's bring in Scott Rabelais from The Advocate.
I love it when they do new imaging. Go to Augusta. Now we're at Los Reyes Mexican Grill, happy hour, 2:30 to 6:30, Monday through Friday. Come by and get your margaritas. Draft beer also on special during happy hour. House wines for $5 here. Lunch menu is terrific. I love the burritos, but also the Mexican pizza, the double-decker Mexican pizza with the flaky crust. Big fan of that here at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Wesley at Nicholson. Now we head over to Augusta National and our friend Scott Rabelais. Max wants to know where you are because there's certain places at Augusta National where no cell phones. So where are you at the moment?
Okay, if you really want to know, I'm in a windowless little recording studio here on the ground floor of the press building, and I just did a live StreamYard thing with Jim Derry, who has got a show on our website, and the video it just wouldn't hook up. It was a very painful experience. I apologize to Jim and anyone watching. Hopefully the sound will come out better. But yeah, I'm here at the press building at the far end of the practice facility. I was just out on the course though, and it's a beautiful day here at Augusta, and the par 3 contest is going on now, and hope to get back out there and see a little bit of that this afternoon. It's just an absolutely perfect day.
So we got storylines here, as always, with the Masters. I think we're kind of, you tell me, I think we're kind of past the live golf guys, coming in. We've done that a few times. So is it Scottie Scheffler for 3 out of 4, or Rory McIlroy going once again for the Grand Slam, or is there another story that I'm missing there? The big storylines here a day before the tournament.
Yeah, I think they're 1 and 1A. I mean, take your pick. Yeah, Scottie Scheffler trying to become the second golfer along with Jack Nicklaus back in the '60s to win 3 out of 4, and just the fourth guy to go back to back. Nicklaus, Faldo, and Woods went back to back. It's very hard to do. Win 3 out of 4 is hard to do. Of course, he had this hand injury, cut his hand. They said making homemade ravioli on Christmas Day.
Yeah, he was cooking, right?
Yeah, he was cooking, and he said he joked yesterday in his press conference I attended. He said, "I might have someone cut my steak for me at the Champions Dinner, just to be on the safe side." Yeah. So I mean, he's a compelling story. Still number 1 in the world, and then Rory. I was just telling Jim, Rory is the sentimental favorite. Scottie's the betting favorite still. Rory is the sentimental favorite. It's the story, right? Yeah. Trying to become the 6th man to win the Grand Slam, the first European, trying to win his first Masters. He's been so close so many times. Been so close in majors, period, guys. So he has not won a major, of course, since 2014. I'm sure you all have talked about that. They gave us a stat today. The Elias Sports Bureau put out. He has had more top 10 finishes in majors than anyone since 2015. 21, and is over in terms of winning. He's beyond due, but you wonder. He's got the game. He's probably playing as well as he's ever played coming in here with wins at Pebble Beach and the Players. But is it the scar tissue? No one has more weight on their shoulders coming in here this week than Rory McIlroy. And he tried, at his press conference yesterday morning, he tries to downplay that and play it off, but it's got to be on your mind. It's got to be.
The odds are a lot closer than they have been to up to this point. It is closed now. Scottie Scheffler's plus 500. Rory's plus 600. So this is about as close as the two of them have been in the odds since they opened these things. Of course, you can bet on the Masters pretty much year-round, but it's really close between the two. Scott, in your opinion, why is McIlroy's game elevated at this particular point?
He's striking it so well. He's been a good driver of the ball.
So he hadn't changed anything. Is where I'm going with this. Is there anything there, Max?
He did change one thing. He's playing the spinniest ball that TaylorMade has, and a lot of people are pointing to that as another reason why he might do well here, because it's so hard to hold these firm greens that having a spinnier ball that you can control a little bit more might help him on these greens this week. That's the one thing other than just playing really well.
Scott, has he talked about that at all?
That didn't come up yesterday. That's a great insight there. I would say we had rain, buckets of rain Monday. It's supposed to rain again Thursday night into Friday. If it makes the greens a little softer, that may take away some of that advantage. But it can't hurt in these greens. some of these greens are trying to land a ball on your roof.
Yeah,
they're really hard to hold.
Out of the live guys, okay, I'll be honest, I have not watched one shot of live golf. I don't even know where to find it. If I went looking for it, I'd have to call Max.
Fox now.
Well, one tournament, right? Or was it more than one?
No,
okay.
They got a new contract. Yeah.
Okay, good for them. But yet these guys are all over the top of the odds board. John Rahm is the fourth choice. Bryson DeChambeau is tied for fifth choice. Brooks Koepka is among the top dozen or so. So tell me, who's playing well on live that could come in here and win this thing? Rahm's won it before.
I think it would be Rahm. I think he's been doing well for what it's worth on the LIV Tour. I think he's been doing pretty well. I haven't watched much of it either, guys. I just wanted to see what it looks like on Fox, and it's about the same. But Bryson DeChambeau, of course, he led after the first round last year with that 65. But according to Elias, that is his only round at par or better in his last 10 rounds here at Augusta National. So he finished tied for sixth. He didn't fade, and then of course he went on to win the U.S. Open at Pinehurst when Rory had the kind of collapse down the stretch. But I don't know, something doesn't quite seem to compute for Bryson here. I would say Rahm. Once you win here, your confidence level has to go up, and I think he's still a very confident player. And you never want to count out Brooks Koepka. He's been close here before too. But if I had to pick one of those guys, I think I would say John Rahm.
Sam Burns, he's played this tournament 3 times. He's missed the cut twice. His form at this point, Max is making a face. So, and he is I believe the last person to tee off on day one.
That's right.
He's in the very last group. So, what are you expecting, if anything, from Sam?
I'm sorry to say, not much. He hasn't played great here. He's only got like one, top 10 finish in a major, and he's missed the last 3 cuts. He's playing on tour. I hate to say this, guys. He's down to 37th in the world, which is certainly not bad. But I think Max might agree. He's trending out of the top 50 at this point. And once you get out of the top 50, that's not good in terms of trying to make these major championship fields, unless you can win a tournament, which on the PGA Tour that gets you the next year's Masters. So I'm sorry. I'd love to be surprised, because I've always thought Sam has the length, the touch, the temperament to win a major. But I just don't see it from the way he's playing right now. And now he's playing the par 3 contest as we speak with Scotty Scheffler. Maybe he'll rub Scotty's beard for good luck, and some of that Scotty play will rub off. But I'm not expecting anything from Sam Burns this week. I wish it was different, but I'm not.
I know Burns is not nearly as popular as Max Homa, but I think Homa takes some of the pressure off, because Homa, he was considered a top 5 player in the world. He was in one of the final groups. He was in contention last year here at the Masters, and his game is nowhere to be seen. It's evaporated way worse than Burns's. Even his longtime caddy and friend left him this week, and is apparently going to be on the bag for JT, I believe, this week for 1 week.
I was going to save JT for a little bit, but he is playing really well right now. Scott, what kind of a chance do you give Justin Thomas?
Two-time PGA champion. He's played well on the biggest stages. Sure. I've always thought, a guy, played college golf at Alabama. Playing in the South for what it's worth. I think the very best players can win anywhere, and I think he's one of those. But I would give. I've always thought, to me, he had a great shot to win here. I've always thought he'd be someone who I could have seen having won by now. The very best players, though, strokes gained tee to green. I was watching the Golf Channel this morning before I came out here. Brandel Chambly said strokes gained tee to green is a huge stat, and it's kind of boring because it's kind of the chalk. But the top 3 on tour on the PGA Tour this year: Collin Morikawa, Rory McIlroy, and Scotty Scheffler. And so, if I'm picking someone besides Rory or Scotty, I'm picking Collin Morikawa. And if you ask me for a dark horse, I'm picking Robert McIntyre of Scotland, who is like 5th in that category. But
tell me who Robert McIntyre is. Tell me a little bit about him. He's a Scotsman who's got really good stats. Okay.
One more little intel here.
You know Robert McIntyre?
He should be a notable in the Advocate newspaper. McNeese State graduate.
Okay.
That's right. He is the guy from McNeese. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Jogging my memory. Yes. The McNeese. All right.
I'm embarrassed, because if you'd asked me an hour ago who Robert McIntyre was, I'd have told you he's an insurance salesman. I had no idea. He's never heard of him.
I'd give him more of a shot to contend than Burns or Homa at this point. Yeah, the McNeese guy. What do they tell him to get him to come from Scotland to Lake Charles?
I have no
Have
idea.
you been to
That's
London?
great-
It's just like that, Robert. It's just like that.
Except not as much. Xander Schauffele, coming off the injury, this will be his fifth tournament. He is gotten a little bit better. He's got a top 15 at the Valspar. Won 2 majors last year. What kind of shot do you give Xander?
He's one of the more fascinating stories to me. Yeah, because he had this career year last year, and then he has this injury, this just a rib injury, I believe, that this has really knocked him back. But I went to his press conference too, and you could tell he's used to being confident and feeling like he's got a shot to win. I mean, if you win the PGA and the British Open in 1 year, I think you're pretty good. And you're third in the world, and you won a gold medal and all this stuff. And you can tell he knows he should be confident. He knows he should be in contention, but I don't think he's quite sure of that himself. And he's I think I would give him another major or two, like defending at the PGA at Quail Hollow next month, or maybe in the U.S. Open in June, something like that. Than this week, but again, another guy who has the game and the major championship experience to get there, and I wouldn't be shocked if he win. It would be a great story if he did.
Finally, Scott, this will be the last appearance. We get one for the old timers here. Bernhard Langer is competing in his final Masters at the age of 67. It's worth noting that he had a top 10 finish in his late 50s. He finished at the age of 57. He finished 8th. When he won his first Masters, Scott, I was in junior high, and I'm not exactly a spring chicken either. But this guy has been one of the best golfers for the better part of over 4 decades, and he's won this event twice. This will be the last time he tees it up at Augusta. Yeah,
he was supposed to say farewell last year, but he ruptured an Achilles playing pickleball. Haven't we all done that? Hey, it's a very big dangerous thing about pickleball. But obviously he's been the dominant player for a long time on the PGA Tour Champions. I'm seeing he's got 47 wins, which is amazing on the Champions Tour, including one last November. So his record in this tournament is great. It's a guy who he was talking about. They brought him in the press center on Tuesday as well, and he said he came from a small village in Bavaria. They didn't have golf. I mean, the fact that he became a great player on the world stage and was part of the European wave that came over here in the 80s with players like Seve Ballesteros and Nick Faldo is just kind of remarkable, really. I mean, those guys come from countries that are golf is much bigger and is much more of a support system. Surprisingly, Germany did not have that back in when he was growing up in the 60s and 70s, and that he made himself into a major champion on the world stage and is still playing so well at this age. I'd love to see him go out and shoot a great round. He said, "It's time for me to quit. I can't keep up with these kids anymore. They're hitting 8 and 9 irons in the greens, and I'm hitting hybrids." So he knows it's time to stop. But it'd be nice to see him have at least one good round. Something 69 or something like that, just before he says farewell. So hats off to Bernhard Langer. What a great career.
67 years old. I feel about him the same way I feel about Freddie Couples. I think the two, who's just a couple years younger than him, I think they could play the course blindfolded. They've been so successful at Augusta. I think they could play the course in the middle of the night. They could play it in the dark. There
you go.
Know it so well.
Charles, I saw Freddie today on the 10th hole, and that swing, you could pour syrup over it. He's in his mid-60s. It's amazing, and he's aging like Cary Grant. Kind of hate the guy, actually.
Well, we'll see if his friend Jim Nance has recovered from the really tough loss on Monday
Jim.
night.
It was a tough one, Jim.
Hello, friends. Well, Scott, I'll tell you to enjoy the week, but I know that you will. So that goes without saying. We'll talk to you next week. We'll get a whole recap of what goes on this week at the Masters. And if you see Buzzy Heidel, tell him to behave out there.
I saw Buzzy today as well. I saw Buzzy Heidel, then Fred Couples. How can you not have a good day when that happens?
That's about as good a pairing, okay? Freddie Couples and Buzzy Heidel. Absolutely.
You know who else works this tournament every year? Buzzy's a gallery marshal on the 10th hole. You know who else works the tournament?
Michael Holland.
Michael Holland.
I
saw him by the first tee today as well. So they're out there, and these are guys who volunteer, and their pay, quote unquote pay, is to come back and play the course every year in May. So they got to come back next month and play it, but they do.
Oh, I know. I bet Buzzy the first year he went. I bet him $20 he couldn't break 80, and
what did he
shot 72,
even par.
Yeah, I handed over the $20 and kind of bent the knee. I was like, "Hey, good for you, man." I know Buzzy could play, but the first time playing the Masters,
that's impressive.
Man, that course he shoots 72 from the members' tees. Scott, have a great tournament. Safe travels back. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
We'll take a break here. Wes Reynolds back with us. He will be with us in the next segment. We'll get his picks on the Masters starting tomorrow. Live at Los Reyes. Live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Don't forget our friends over at Los Reyes. I remember where I was with Paul Skeen's first start at PNC against Chicago Cubs. It was a Saturday. It was at Los Reyes. That's right. Man, I couldn't even finish my meal the other night. I had so much generous portions. When I came back from the plane from Vegas on Sunday evening, I took it home. Man, it's so good. And something about the grilled chicken, the steak, it's really good, man. And the thing about it is, with generous portions, the one thing I love about a Mexican restaurant, when they have their homemade tortillas. Excellent stuff. Go by and check it out. Go see my buddy Scott. Go see Miss Blair behind the bar. Go see Kyle over there at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Always going to put the game on. They're very accommodating with the 3 TVs behind the bar. Great happy hour 7 days a week. Los Reyes Mexican Grill on Lee, across from Mike Anderson's.
From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
And we bring in Wes Reynolds. Wes, it's the biggest golf tournament of the year this week. So where's Jimmy out? He's watching tennis. That guy, man, come on. You pick this week to go watch tennis. Biggest golf tournament of the year. How you doing, Wes?
I'm doing all right, man. Yeah, biggest golf tournament of the year. No pressure, right?
No. I'm gonna sneak one basketball question in, and then we'll go straight to golf after that. Monday night, a minute to go. Florida and Houston. What are you thinking? And then your reaction with a minute to go. What were you thinking? And then your reaction to how it played out.
Yeah, I think I had the baffled look on my face that Telvin Sampson had on his the last possession, just kind of stone-faced of what was going on, because I had Houston in the game, had Walter Clayton also under points, which got there, but Houston dictated the whole term of the game, really. It ended up 65-63. That's a Houston game. That's not a Florida game. You watch Florida enough down there that if you hold them to that number of points, you're going to beat them, or you're going to have a good chance to win. And just to have 4 straight turnovers and then not get a shot off, not only on the last possession, but almost in the final minute 30 of the game. It was just inexplicable, and it was role reversal, because that was like Duke on Saturday, where they just late kind of froze, and a lot of that was the Houston pressure, which Duke is not used to getting full court pressure because they're up 20 at the end of almost every game in that ACC. So, yeah, I got to give Florida credit, though, because a lot of us are saying that Houston kind of gave it away, which they did, because I think that was their game to win. But Florida fought them. And I got to give them credit, that they met Houston's toughness, which I wasn't sure. That was kind of the decider that put me on the Houston side. And Florida met their toughness, and they played really good defense on those final few possessions. So give Todd Golden and his guys credit.
Wes, you would be amazed, maybe appalled at the number of text messages I've gotten from my friends from Monday to now, all the way to this morning. When's the golf picks? When's Wes coming on? It's Masters Week. I'm like, you guys listen to the doggone show every week. I mean, it's the same time. It's just they're anxious about this. So I'm just going to let you talk here for a minute. Masters starts tomorrow. Who you like?
Yeah, and I didn't bet him on the outright. I bet him on a top 10, but I'm going to wait to see what kind of start he gets. I do kind of agree with the sentiment, and I know it's talky that this might be Rory's year. I think that this is the best he has looked coming into the Masters. So I don't have him right now on the outright card, but I reserve the right to add. Maybe he's a few off the lead after the first round. And if he's only a couple or a few off the lead, I think there's a good chance he's going to win this thing, because that's been the problem. He's been like 7 back, 8 back after the first round, and that's just so far to come back, even with 3 rounds left to play. But what I did go ahead and play on the outright, I played John Rahm at about 17-1. And if you look since he went to Live Golf, like he hasn't really looked the same, but he hasn't played bad. He's never finished outside the top 10. And in 2025, 2nd, 6th, 6th, 5th, and 9th. So even if he seems a little bit off, he's never really that far away. He was the defending champion here last year. Nobody's defended the title since Tiger at 2002 in Augusta. So maybe that was part of it. And I think Scotty could fall into that perhaps this year, even though he's starting to peak a little bit. And Rahm, I think he's kind of almost been a little bit of the, I don't want to say totally forgotten, but he's a little bit under the radar, I think, compared to some of these other guys coming into this week. So I think coming back to Augusta, now that he's dealt with all the live fallout and he's not the defending champion anymore, he can maybe be a little bit more loose. And so I did play John Rahm. Also in the same price range, I played Colin Morikawa at around 18-1. His irons this year on approach are the best that they've been since he won the 2 majors in 2020 and 2021. Now, he's been a little surly with the media lately, including yesterday. And, so maybe he'll embrace this dark Morikawa, this dark heel role, I guess, that he kind of is looking like right now. But the irons are really good, 5th, 10th, and 3rd here the last 3 years. So I think that iron play is going to make up for a little bit of that lack of distance off the tee.
Can I ask you real quick, Wes, on him? Yeah. It seems so out of character. I was surprised to read those comments. It seems so out of character for him to play the villain role. I mean, if you want to call it that. I mean, all he did was refuse to speak to the media after he lost the tournament. But that seems awfully out of character for Morikawa, who seems like a very, I want to use the word cheerful person and a very likable guy. It just seems kind of out of character for him.
Yeah, maybe it's getting to him that he hadn't won in a little bit. He hadn't won since 2023 at the Zozo. He actually hadn't won on American soil anywhere in the United States in 4 years. So, maybe that's getting in. You play predominantly your entire year over here. That's probably getting to him a little bit. But the numbers just really matched up for me, and I would be shocked if he's at least not in contention on Sunday. And another guy that irons have really come back. He's 8th on the tour in approach this year. It's Justin Thomas, who I bet several weeks earlier, and it's about the same price. He's got a caddy change, though, this week. Matt Minister, who is Patrick Cantlay's old caddy, who Justin Thomas picked up last year, is out with some kind of injury he's dealing with. And he's got Max Homa's recently caddy that they parted ways, and Max has pretty much parted ways with everybody lately. Based on how he's played. But I played Justin Thomas 25-1, 7 top 10s last 11 events. He's got 3 runner-ups already in really the last several months. So I think he could go well here. And then I'm going with gut because the numbers say that this probably isn't a good play. But Patrick Cantlay, 40-1, who I think has the game tailor-made for major championships, and yet always underwhelmed in the majors. But T3 last summer at Pinehurst, best career finish in a major. The irons have been better lately, and we know he's pretty good off the tee more often than not, and also with the putter. So he's trying to break the winless drought. And then the longer prices, 2 mid-range and 1 longer one I have. I'm back to Min Woo again. He was good to us a couple weeks ago in Houston, and Augusta is very similar. Wide fairways, 51 yards on average. You don't really get into a lot of trouble off the tee. We know Min Woo can hit it long, but he can also spray it around the yard a little bit. But he can putt great. He's good around the green with the chipping, and you're going to have to do that, especially out of those tight lies this week. So Min Woo at 60-1. Also Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre at 60-1, who has not been in the field here the last 2 years, but 2 respectable finishes, 12th and 23rd on his 2 appearances. Now he's won twice on the PGA Tour, and he's also that big hitting lefty off the tee that hits it long, but also can spray it, and then can kind of pull off really like, how the hell did you do that shot? Similar to Phil Mickelson and Bub Watson, who, of course, were both southpaws here at Augusta. Good golf for McIntyre so far in 2025. 17th or better in 6 of 9 worldwide events, so I think he could go well. And then I had to go with one former champion that was a long shot, and that's Patrick Reed at 100-1, who you saw on the first page of the leaderboard last weekend at Doral for the LIV event. And he finally won for the first time in nearly 4 years back in November in Hong Kong on the Asian Tour. He's actually been playing really well when he plays those Asian Tour events. And top 12 in 4 of the last 5 years. Even when he's not really been in good form, he's looking better coming into this event than he has in a few years. So strong finish here also gets him in the rest of the majors because he's not getting a lot of those world golf ranking points on LIV. So he's trying to get into the PGA, he's trying to get in the U.S. Open, trying to get in the Open Championship over there at Fort Rush. So real strong finish here would do the trick for Patrick Reed.
When Patrick Reed won the Masters in 2018, I literally had the next 6 guys. I had everybody on the leaderboard except him. I had a lot of. I said a lot. Ricky Fowler finished second that year. John Rahm. I don't know if that was his first Masters or his second Masters, but I said a lot of bad things about Patrick Reed that year because I had everybody except him. Wes, what are you doing with Scotty? Any props? Any round bets? Anything on Scotty at all?
I don't have anything as of right now. Like, I'm not fading him, but I'm not going against him necessarily either. He's kind of one I'm leaving alone. I'm approaching the same way with Xander, even though I do have a top 20 on Xander, because now people are starting to believe, like, okay, he really had good approach numbers at the Valspar, and now he's been back to that injury for, like, the last 6 weeks, so that maybe this is the time. Just keep in mind, he's got 2 of the 4 trophies currently on his mantle for major championships. But in terms of Scotty, I'm just leaving it alone. I'm not backing nor fading because he played really well in Houston. That was the best he's looked since he's come back from the injury. And the numbers are still really good. They're just not what they were last year, which was a historic, one of the greatest seasons of all time. It was almost Tiger-esque. Looked at the stats where he led in approach, where he led in tee to green, where he led all in around the green. He led in so many of these stats last year. You only have to go down, and he's only gone down a little bit, but it's tough to defend. And look, we got a 20-plus year trend of champions not defending. If anybody can do it, it's him, but bet that he does not.
Wes, the Masters is a lot like the Super Bowl in that you can find any number of hundreds of different props. You can bet, any golfer from pretty much any country that's represented. You can bet them by nationality to make the cut. Round props, over/unders for any round. So any road, anything you got that you like. Is there any prop, or do you just you stay away from them?
Yeah, I played a couple different props. I missed the boat on him for Lowe Senior, which was minus 110 and is now in the $2 range. But I bet Mickelson about minus $1.40 to make the cut. Looks very good at the week, and he knows every nook and cranny of this place. Even when he's not playing well, you got to think Phil's going to find a way to at least make the weekend, winning 3 green jackets here. So I played that. I also played Benny On at 5-1 as the low Asian player, and I'm just going to clarify this because I've been asked this question a lot. Because people ask about Minwoo Lee, who obviously won 2 weeks ago and is a nice dark horse here. Minwoo is from Australia, so he is not in the low Asian market with the Japanese players and the South Korean players, et cetera, et cetera. But Benny On's a big long hitter off the tee that can also spray it a little bit. But he seems to me like he's a big, powerful guy that should play well at Augusta. So I was willing to take on Siwoo and Matsuyama and Tom Kim, et cetera, with Benny On at 5-1. And then in the low debutante market, it's one of the lower prices out there, but I played Davis Thompson at 7-1, who, of course, lives down there in Georgia at Sea Island. Big, long-hitting guy, won his first event of his career last year at the John Deere. Guy that can hit it a mile, and it can get really hot with the putter. So Davis Thompson at 7-1 for low debutante for me.
And I missed who did you like for low senior?
Phil Mickelson.
Well, I didn't bet the low senior because I was going to bet Phil, but then everybody else had the same idea. I bet him to make the cut at minus 140. But the only low senior I would consider is either Phil or maybe Angel Cabrera, who, by the way, got out of the Huskow last year down in Argentina. And I look on my Twitter feed on Sunday, and he wins on the Champions Tour. So Angel Cabrera makes his return to Augusta for the first time in a few years, so it's probably going to be one of those two, Phil or Cabrera.
Wes, you're the best, man. We're looking forward. Going home after the show to watch a little bit of the par 3 and then 4 days of great golf from Augusta. Thanks as always, Wes. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
You bet. Always good to be with you guys.
Wes Reynolds, one of the best handicappers of golf anywhere in the country.
Four wins already this
Four
season.
wins, yeah. And how many turns? How many turns have we played?
9,
like a dozen,
10, 11.
Yeah,
Yes, probably 12.
That's a remarkable percentage. So we got our consensus picks when we come back. Here we are at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. We're also brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff will find out, what's making you hurt. If you got something that's flared up, an old accident, an old sports injury, or something that hurts that didn't used to hurt, well, let them work with you. They've done it for our family. They'll find out what is wrong with you. They'll target those problem areas. They'll get you to feeling better, whether you need just maybe a series of exercises and stretches, you need an adjustment, or if you need a dry needle or electric nerve stimulation, cryo ultrasound therapy, they'll get you to feeling better and get you on your way. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. We'll take a break, come back with our consensus picks, and Max has got some props that he also likes for the first round. We'll do that when we come back here at Los Reyes Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That Electric Man, BatonRouge.com. Electric work, Charlie, is not a do-it-yourself stuff at home. No. You got to call out a professional. You can call them out anytime. Yeah, they take calls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Quality service for installations, lighting, electrical service, you name it, whatever you need. So need a little extra lighting for your office or for your home space, no problem. Guaranteed scheduled appointments. When they came to my house, it was right on the dot. Call ahead of time, 10 minutes later, they are there. Insured, free inspections, and estimates. Licensed professionals, so you get quality service when we're dealing with anything from child-proof outlets, electrical safety inspections, dedicated computer circuits, or electrical code updates. Electric Man, BatonRouge.com. That's 372-5356, 372-5356, or Electric Man, BatonRouge.com.
Our Wednesday consensus golf picks are brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown.
All right, back here at Los Reyes. Max, let's get to it. Consensus picks.
Yes, so I'll start with mine, which has not been the best tournament for me of the four majors. I've typically done better in some other ones. A lot of people think this is the easiest one to predict.
You telling me you do? You telling me you do?
What's that?
Oh, you do? Like if you haven't done well, just say you do.
I hope so.
Okay.
I can't remember a time that I've picked a winner. I bet one. I've had a lot of runner-ups, but runners-up.
You're listening a lot of confidence now.
Yes.
Then okay.
Sorry.
All right. So, but
there we go.
I appreciate your honesty. But
I don't like the top of the board here. I have some questions about Scheffler not playing his best, and he's a defending champion. Very, very hard to go back-to-back. Rory McIlroy, it's a major. I am a little worried about Jon Rahm, but I'm going to start my card with Xander Schauffele, 26-1, who is coming off of the rib surgery in the offseason. Hasn't come back with the best of form. He's played 4 times this season. Since he came back, it's been 3 times. And not the best results. 72nd at the Players, but did finish tied for 12th in his last appearance at the Valspar. Had his best approach play ever in his career. So he's hitting his irons really well despite the surgery. A little erratic off the tee, doesn't really hurt you that much here at Augusta. It's the short game that I'm a little bit worried about, but I've always played him a lot at the Masters. I tend to play him almost every year, and 26-1 to me, a good price for someone who won 2 majors last year. Maybe it's his time to break through and add another one to his resume. Patrick Cantlay, 40-1. You heard him earlier from Wes, but just someone I kind of see suiting well here. He finally came off of his best major performance, as Wes mentioned, at the U.S. Open last year. He's got a tough major resume to his name, but I do think this is the one that he would break through on is the Masters. He's got a ninth place finish back in 2019, but respectable finishes the last 2 years. His putter has really failed him at this golf course, but it's been playing pretty well as of late. His approach numbers are exceptional so far this season. That's what I'm really playing this off of. You got to be able to hit great approach play into these greens. So Patrick Cantlay 40-1. Someone I did not want to bet coming into the week because his form's not there, but I bet him every year. I'm going to do it. Why not one more time? He's got great course history, maybe the best course history of anyone out there, and that's Jordan Spieth at 45-1. Look, he's very erratic with his play right now. It's very boom or bust. His iron play shows up one week, it disappears the next. His putter was great last week at Texas Open. He finished 12th, very respectable finish, but it's his Masters finishes. He obviously should have more than one green jacket to his name. He blew it in 2016. He's finished top 3 by my count 5 times in his career. Just outside of that, a few more times. So he can show up great here. The one concern for him, he missed the cut last year. It has been a very long time, maybe never. It's been a really long span where someone's missed the cut the previous tournament and gone on to win the next week, so that's a worrisome sign. Typically you follow it up with a decent finish of the year before. But Jordan Spieth just playing course history here at 45-1. Russell Henley, 55-1. Well, this guy, I use the term serial loser with Tommy Fleetwood. I've been using that a little bit lately. Russell Henley was kind of a serial loser for some time, but he finally broke through and won the Arnold Palmer Invitational, a great field event where typically driving distance is important. That's not a strength of his, but he won at a course where driver-heavy golf course, it demands a driver off the tee, and he won it. So now he can maybe break through. The Masters always seems comfortable for him. He's a Georgia guy, so it makes a whole lot of sense that he'd suit here. And just an elite iron player, great short game, so should have no problem around these greens. Russell Henley, 55-1. Robert McIntyre, 60-1. You heard him earlier from Wes as well. Just a Scot that's playing great golf and a lefty, which suits these holes that a lot of times they work a little bit. They demand a tee shot that goes right to left. That's a nice little cut for a lefty. We've seen Bubba Watson win here. We've seen Phil Mickelson win here. But McIntyre's got the pedigree, to me, to finally break through and win a major. So the Scot maybe breaks through this week. Sergio Garcia, 85-1. I got him last week at 125-1, so a little disappointed, but I'll still give him out here at 85. Been playing excellent on Live Golf. Traditionally a great ball striker. It's the short game that normally kills him, but it's been better as of late. His last 2 finishes, he played at the Asian Tour event earlier this about a month ago. He finished 4th place. Last week at Live Miami, he had a chance on 18 to get it done, hit the ball in the water when he was just needing to go for birdie. He tried, he failed, whatever. He finished top 3. He's won this event before. He's really struggled since then. 5 of 6 missed cuts since that 2017 Masters victory. But he's someone who's shown he can win here, and maybe why not? Maybe the Spanish player can do it once again at 85-1. And finally, Patrick Reed, my last pick, 90-1. Someone who's been playing well, also played really well last week at Live. He was the first-round leader, got out to a great start, finished 2nd the week before at the Asian Tour event as well. So coming in with decent form, and when he's coming in decent form, he's always played well here at Augusta. His last 5 events here at the Masters, and that does not include his win in 2018. He's got top 12 finishes in 4 of them. So when he comes in with any form whatsoever, he plays well. He knows these greens so well. He putts them great. He's outstanding around the greens traditionally in his career. So Patrick Reed at 90-1 rounds out my card.
Consensus picks, again, brought to you by Dana Brown, the law office of O.C. Brown. We've got picks from Jeff Seeley, from Andy Isco, from Matt Humans, from Wes Reynolds. Max, who are our consensus choices?
So we've got 6 in total, but we'll start with the most common picks. There were 2 golfers that were picked by 3 of our contributors. The first being Colin Morikawa at 16-1. That was Wes Reynolds, Andy Isco, and Matt Humans on Colin Morikawa. And then Russell Henley at 55-1. Myself is on him, Jeff Seeley as well, Indy Jeff, and Andy Isco on Russell Henley as well. There were 4 golfers in which we had common picks between 2 of our contributors, starting with Patrick Cantlay at 40-1, myself and Wes Reynolds. We also both had Jordan Spieth at 45-1 and Robert McIntyre at 60-1. And Wes and I thinking a lot thinking very much alike this week because we also both have Patrick Reed at 90-1. So our common picks, our consensus picks, brought to you by Nana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley, Patrick Cantlay, Jordan Spieth, Robert McIntyre, and the longer shot at 90-1, Patrick Reed.
All right, we'll come back and wrap things up here at Los Reyes Mexican Grill. Wesley at Nicholson, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Los Reyes Mexican Grill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame making an announcement a little while ago that they have expanded the class of 2025 by adding Nick Saban to the list. He was elected in the class of 2020, but they didn't have the ceremonies that year, and so Saban could never couldn't quite work it out. So he is going to be there this June 26th through 28th in Natchitoches. The rest of the inductees were announced last fall. That includes Andrew Whitworth, from LSU, of course. The late Ed Daniels is also among those that will be inducted. Former longtime LSU Sports Information Director Herb Vincent is in that class. Joe Sherman, who's been down at Delgado, it seems like, since the school opened, almost among those that are in the class. But Saban will be there this summer. You ever been up for the induction at Louisiana?
I really
Sports
want to
Hall?
go.
It's fun. It's a really nice event.
I got tickets one year and something came up last minute, but
Ronnie and those guys do a great job with that, and it's a whole weekend's worth of stuff, and you get a headliner like that. That Saban's going in. I'm anxious to hear him tell some stories about the LSU time. To be honest with you, because he doesn't. When he was coaching, he gave just a little bit of that stuff, and I always said this when we were covering him every day, and there was a lot less media back then when he was here from 2000 to 2004. There was a group of us, probably I would say 12 or so, that were there pretty much every day. And even around that group, he very, very infrequently would loosen up and tell. But when he did, it was great. I mean, because the guy, and we've seen a lot more of that on game day, where he's talked about a lot of different things. But I would imagine there's going to be an LSU story or two. I'm anxious to hear it. Actually, I'd like to hear him tell the story of when he fussed at Jacques Doucet for parking in his spot. Jacques tells the story great, but I'd like to hear it from Saban's side. We're here at Los Reyes. Wonderful place to stop in and get a margarita. Jimmy talks about it all the time. 2:30 to 6:30 Monday through Friday. Your happy hour here. Great place to watch the games. Terrific lunch menu. Think I'm going back with the Mexican pizza again, Max, but enchiladas, tamales, burritos, all terrific here at Los Reyes. Again, they've done a wonderful job with the remodel here at the restaurant. We invite you to come by and see us. Wesley at Nicholson. For Max, Jordan back in the studio, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.